Hey, everybody, thanks for joining me. I'm Mike Drotis, Bible teacher and preacher, and you've tuned into my YouTube channel, Solving the Prophetic Puzzle. Prophecy is happening very fast now. I've been studying Bible prophecy since 1983, and we've always seen prophecy happen in our time. And it has accelerated since 1948 when Israel became a nation. But since 2020, prophecy has happened more frequently and more intense than it ever has before. It's as if our time is accelerating. It seems to me that hours, days, weeks, months, years are going faster than they ever have before. Things are happening very fast. A year ago, or maybe 18 months ago now, I had a vision. And in this vision, I was on a super highway. I was in a fast car, and to the left of me, I couldn't see where the boundary was, and neither to the right of me, I couldn't see where the boundary was. I was in the middle of this super highway. And off in the distance, I saw a great city with skyscrapers and lights, tall buildings, and I knew in my heart that this place was heaven. I revved up the engine in this fast car on this superhighway and began to drive straight towards heaven. As I was driving on this highway, I would see periodically signs flash past me on my right-hand side as I would drive down this superhighway. I was accelerating faster and faster, and I began to see more signs flashing past me on my right side as I was driving. As I continued to drive, the road became more narrow, and the sides began to close in on me, and signs began to appear on both sides. Highway signs. I'm flying past these at a super high speed. I'm flying past highway signs on both sides of me as I'm drawing closer and closer to the city that I knew was heaven. Suddenly, as I was driving, I saw up ahead of me a tunnel, and I knew that if I got to that tunnel, when I went down into that tunnel and got to the other side, I would be into heaven. As I was getting closer and closer to the tunnel, signs were now coming so fast on the left, on the right, that they were happening one after the other, quicker and quicker as I drew closer and closer to that tunnel. Suddenly, then, the vision stopped. And I no longer saw anything in my mind's eye as I was there in prayer, as I saw this heavenly vision speaking about Bible prophecy. And I will explain what that vision meant in just a minute. Actually, that vision had two meanings. One was very personal and is applying to my own personal walk and journey with the Lord. But the other part of that vision was for the whole world, and it was telling us where we were at on God's highway, his timeline, his prophetic road to the end of the age. The road is humanity's timeline, the prophetic timeline. Prophetic means within the boundaries of God's plan. The signs that I saw were prophetic signs leading us along the road to the millennial reign of Christ on the earth, or at the end of the tribulation period, at the end of the battle of the Armageddon. The signs that I saw were prophetic signs. Some of these signs, now none of them really didn't have time to read what these signs were, but we know what some of the prophetic signs, we've seen them happen in our lifetime. The return of Israel back as a nation, the various wars, rumors of wars that are escalating all the time, the earthquakes, the celestial signs that have happened just since 2020 alone, the pandemic, the turn of events that are happening in Jerusalem and Israel. All of these are signs on that highway. And as we draw closer and closer to the tribulation period and the soon coming rapture, the signs happen more and more frequently. The thing that I noticed as I got closer to the end of the road was that everything began to get very narrow. The signs happened more frequently. They were on both sides of me. And I knew that we were nearing that I was nearing the end of man's timeline, and that the tunnel, and I'll tell you what the tunnel is in just a minute. I was nearing the end of the timeline, and it was getting close to the tunnel. And that's where we are now. We, in this world, on the prophetic road, the prophetic highway that God has for us, are right before this tunnel. The tunnel is the tribulation period. On the other side of the tribulation period is the new millennial reign of Christ. But on this highway, the world is going towards the tribulation period and the rapture that happens before the tribulation period or before the time of tribulation. That's where we are at now. Signs are happening very quickly. We are moving towards the final 7 years on that timeline. That tunnel is the final 7 years. I believe the tunnel is the tribulation period. And my vision was that we are right before the 7-year tribulation period, and thus we are right before the rapture. We are close to all of these events happening. Things are happening really quick. But people want to know what's next. So I'm going to give you 3 big things, 3 worldwide events that I believe are happening on this highway as we're drawing closer to the tribulation period, closer to the rapture. Number 1, worldwide war. Nations will rise up against nations. Since 2022, since Russia invaded Ukraine, we have seen an escalation and a spirit of warfare throughout the world. Now we are on the verge of World War III. At the time of me recording this video, we don't know when Iran is going to attack Israel, but they're getting ready to. They say it is imminent. This is just another series of events of these wars and rumors of wars. The second thing that we will see worldwide, 3 of the 3 big things that I see happening worldwide. The second thing is shortages of food and water and medications. On the heels of a worldwide war, there will be shortages of food, of water, of medications. And worldwide, there will be more intense earthquakes. Things aren't lessening up with earthquakes, they're only ramping up. The 7.4 that we saw in Taiwan will be commonplace in the next few years as we begin to get closer and closer to the rapture and closer to the tribulation period. All of this was prophesied in Matthew chapter 24, verses 5 through 8. Jesus said himself, "For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." That's encouraging. Even though we are on the brink of world wars and rumors of world wars, we are not to think that that is the end. The world is not going to end with a world war in this sense. We still have to get to the rapture. We still have to get to the tribulation. We still have to get through the tribulation until Armageddon. So even though these wars are horrible, it is not the end. There will be shortages, as I said, and you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in various places. These are all the beginning of sorrows, or as other translations say, the beginning of birth pains. Birth pains right before the baby is born get more intense and more frequent. Right before the rapture of the church and the great tribulation period upon the earth, things will get more intense and more frequent. Now, what's going to happen? What do I see happening for America? three big things that are going to happen in America. Three things that are speeding us towards this. Number one, the money will begin to get tighter and tighter. Inflation will continue to go up. Money will dry up. Things will get real tight. Things will get real tight. Number two, America will be engaged in a conflict or a war that they don't want to be in. In fact, this war that they get pulled into, they won't want to even call it a war, but they will be pulled into it, and they will want to get out of it as quickly as possible. We are being entangled and drug into conflicts all over the world, and I see in the next few months us being drawn into these things. Number three, destructive earthquake in the continental U.S. We saw a small earthquake in New York, but there is going to be a big destructive earthquake in the United States. I know that a lot of people are looking towards the East Coast, but I would not be surprised to look out west towards Yellowstone National Park as well. There will be an earthquake that will destroy much property and hurt many people in the United States. And there will be signs under the earth, as I said, with an earthquake, and there will be signs above the earth, celestial signs, signs in the sky. There will be signs happening in the atmosphere above the earth that people will actually think that these signs are pointing towards intelligent life from another world that has come to visit this planet. They will see these signs and they will begin to believe that we are being visited by intelligent life from other worlds. That will be a lie. That is a lie. But many people will think that. These are deceiving demons in the end of the ages, drawing people away from God and drawing people towards a diabolical plan by the Antichrist to actually explain the rapture when it happens. And as we draw closer to the rapture, we're going to see more of these strange signs in the sky. Now, that's in Luke chapter 21, verse 25. Luke 21:25. And there will be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars and on the earth, distress of nation with perplexity. The sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them from fear and the expectation of those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of the heavens will be shaken. That's what's going to happen in the very near future. Signs in the skies that will scare people, that will confuse people. Now, none of this that I'm telling you is meant to scare you, but to prepare you. I like that. Not scare, but prepare people for what is happening. Because look at, as these signs happen under the earth and on the earth and above the earth, look at verse 27. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. That's the rapture. As these signs intensify and get more frequent and get more intense, soon the rapture will come. Jesus Christ will come back in a cloud above the earth with power and great glory. Jesus Christ is coming back. That's something to be excited about. Verse 28, now when these things begin to happen, look up, lift up your heads, because your redemption draws near. As we see all of these end time signs happening more frequently with more intensity, and yes, those signs will happen both in the world and in the United States. We don't need to be fearful. We don't need to feel like God's left us. In fact, the rapture is the exact thing that God provides for all believers to escape the coming trumpet judgments and bowl judgments. It's the great escape. It's the great evacuation plan that God has provided for every person who believes in Him, who believes Him as his Lord and Savior, who has accepted Jesus as Lord and Savior. You can escape the terrible tribulation period, the trumpet judgments and bowl judgments. You can be evacuated, but you must be born again. Hey, thanks for watching these videos. If you haven't liked or subscribed yet, please do. Every week I do 1 or 2 videos about the end times, Bible prophecy, or the rapture. If you haven't heard about my book, some people have mentioned to me that they didn't know I wrote a book. You can get the first book, Waiting for the Rapture. It's on Amazon. You can get this end times novel, and then you will be able to get the other 2 after you read Waiting for the Rapture. So, in the meantime, keep looking up. Jesus Christ is coming. God bless you.